Hey everyone, and welcome to another Hungover podcast, number 2 of 2021. Thank you very much to Hungover Podcast, I guess 3.0. We are coming at you today with a topic that I really want to talk about since yesterday not yesterday, but the last time we brought it to you, we presaged that we wanted to talk about Tenet. And I can't just talk about Tenet without talking about one of Julien and I's foremost filmmakers in our friendship, let alone in our lives. Just the entire filmography of Christopher Nolan. So we're going to today break down a little bit of Tenet, go through backwards and forwards and backwards, through the middle out as well, all of Christopher Nolan's work. Julien, how you feeling today?
I'm feeling all right. I had a little bit of a rough day so far. I can get into that if you want, but so I'm definitely excited to talk about Tenet and Christopher Nolan. I think he's, as he said, a really seminal filmmaker. He's a great director, a screenplay writer. He does a lot of things behind the camera, let's say, that makes that have made one of our favorite movies ever, The Dark Knight, sure. But also continuously brings something I think really unique to the Hollywood blockbuster genre, and also brings, makes movies that really resonate with a lot of people and make you think, and I think a lot of his movies merit multiple viewings, and you always get something new out of them. So I think that's why he's one of the best around. No one's ever going to take him down.
As he's gotten to be a more renowned filmmaker, that's become more and more of his trademark, to the point where I think he overindulged it in this movie. But we'll get into that later.
Yeah.
Just like Nolan likes to overindulge in his own sense of time and space and directing, we like to overindulge in a variety of things. In a segment each week, we start off talking about what we binged this past week. So Julien, you can talk about your day, how it's going, or talk about all the things that you've gotten into this week.
Well, I'll start with just the good news. I've been streaming a lot lately, so and I managed to get my hands on a PlayStation 5. Very excited. The disc version, of course. I wouldn't waste my money on the digital only version, because the disc version comes with a 4K Ultra Blu-ray player disc drive, so I can purchase all of my favorite Nolan movies in 4K Ultra Blu-ray. Of course,
that'd be the third different version or fourth different version.
Yes.
You have it digital, DVD, Blu-ray, digital, and now Ultra HD.
Yes, of course. I immediately purchased the Dark Knight trilogy in 4K Ultra Blu-ray. Haven't watched it yet, but I have it there for a really great night. I've got a really great night ahead of me. It might not be tonight, it might not be tomorrow night, but it's there for me when I need it. I'm just gonna watch
like
the Dark
a hug.
Knight. Like a hug. I've always got it. The Dark Knight in 4K Ultra Blu-ray. I can't wait. But yeah, I've been I've made it my goal this year to finish all of the Yakuza games on PlayStation. They have recently, not so recently, but they've sort of brought them all to PlayStation 4, and PS5 is backwards compatible with that. So I started Yakuza 0. It's one of the series, I would say, like Metal Gear Solid, that is a very long running series in a Japanese Japanese video game series that is over the top story, really cool gameplay, all this types of things, and all the things that I would really like all combined. And I've just never played them, so I'm really excited to get started on them. I think I'm about like a quarter of the way through Yakuza 0 right now. It's really a fun game. It's an open world. If you don't know what the Yakuza series is, sort of like it's a combination
I own Yakuza 0, but I
should
never
have
played
Yakuza Kiwami, because it was free on PlayStation Plus. It's the remake of the first game in
Maybe
a different
that's
engine.
what I have then. Okay.
Yakuza 0 is a prequel, if you couldn't guess by the name, that takes place in the 80s to tell Kiryu's story. He's the main character, and Majima is sort of like the, at least in, I don't know, he's sort of like the rival of the main character in this storyline. Um, so and it tells his story as well, his origin story, Batman Begins origin story. But yeah, so it's sort of like it's a gangster, yakuza story. So it's got this over the top, fucking awesome cutscenes, really fantastic Japanese voice acting. From I think there's some famous Japanese actors that I don't know the name of because I never know any of their names because they're typically not in Hollywood movies, unfortunately. Except for what's his name in Inception. Is that Ken Watanabe?
Ken Watanabe.
Yeah,
Yeah, because
he's
he was
probably the
also
most
in
famous.
that Tom Cruise movie, The Last Samurai.
Oh yeah, exactly. He's one of the few Japanese actors to have made it across the shores of American soil, where all the money is in movies. But this game's super fun. It has really fun mini games where you just go to, like karaoke. There's and things like that. There's stupid mini games that are super fun. You can go to like porn shops and watch like these stupid videos of sexy Japanese women from the 80s. I don't know, it's just
Is
hilarious.
it
It's
kind
just
of
like,
akin to like a spiritual successor to what's the game that everybody was really excited for, the third one, Shenmue?
a spiritual successor, I don't know. I guess I would say is similar gameplay except for combat, which is super awesome in this game. Um, you get into fights with just goons and thugs and like these fucking people who are trying to kill you, and it's just over the top action. You can pick up bicycles and just ram them into other people's heads. Super violent, but incredibly arcadey or video gamey in a way, or 100% video gamey. It's just like it's a blast to play. And then so you basically go through all these stupid side stories, and then the main story is there for when you want to get serious and have an awesome time. The game starts off with the boys getting drunk. They're out on a night. They're getting
Ah,
drunk at a
yeah.
bunch of different bars, and then they do karaoke. And then I'm sitting here like thinking, oh, you know what I would want to do if I was in this situation is go get some ramen, you know? And then immediately as I thought that, they go to get ramen. It's like the fucking best. I wish I was living in 1980s Japan. It's amazing. But anyway, I love that game. I'm
I
excited to
do
play
own
through.
Yakuza 0, by the way.
Yeah, I
I have
thought you did.
played,
Yeah.
I think,
Oh,
this first
Yakuza
5
Zero.
minutes.
That's funny.
Yeah.
But anyways, today I woke up, did my thing, and then Nikki woke up to feed the cats and things like that. And then, yeah, I'm trying to get into my day that's been not going so well, as a stark difference. And the cat, we have a smaller cat named Egg, really fantastic cat. She's really dumb. But I picked her up and put her on me, to pet her, and then she like was not having it, and she meowed in a way. She doesn't really meow ever, so it's
Hmm.
kind of like a meow of you're hurting me type of situations. I'm like, oh, sorry, not my fault. I literally picked you up and tried to pet you. Sorry, cat. So I just put her down. And then when she was walking over to the food bowl, we noticed that she was limping. She wouldn't put one of her legs down on the ground.
Oh,
Um,
no.
yeah, so we think that she jumped off the cat condo, like trying to doing something stupid at night, and probably hurt herself landing. Um, we have this ridiculous cat tower. Yvonne knows, he's seen it, but it's taller than me essentially. It's
We have
ridiculous.
a similar cat tower.
But I bet this stupid cat jumped off like the top part and landed improperly because she can't do things properly. But we love her, so Nikki took her to the vet. They did an X-ray. and they're waiting back on word from that X-ray specialist, cat specialist, of course. He's an expert in cat law. Cat. Sorry, I just watched It's Always Sunny, where they do the
Bird law.
Charlie's bird law. It's a really great episode where they go up against it's Ponderosa versus the McPoyles. It's so tough.
It's a
but yeah,
kangaroo court. It's a kangaroo court.
It's a kangaroo court. So yeah, so we did that, and then Nikki and I've been planning to make a French onion soup. So I'm like, all right, I made the beef stock. Let's go, Nikki. We gotta go to Bed Bath and Beyond to get the goddamn crock pots or whatever they're called. The ramekins for the the individual ones you get at a restaurant. We wanted to buy those. Bed Bath and Beyond sells them, but they were sold out. So like we essentially live like next to New York City's version of a strip mall.
It's a good one too.
It's a fantastic. I'm not complaining. I'm just trying to describe it to people who don't live here. We've got Bed Bath and Beyond right across the street. And this is all like right by the BQE, the Brooklyn Queens Expressway. So it's incredibly loud, but because there's an expressway above it. But there's Bed Bath and Beyond, and this is like a 6-block stretch of awesome stores that you can pretty much get anything except for apparently goddamn onion soup ramekin. So we started Bed Bath and Beyond. We walked down. We're like, all right, well, what's next? We're gonna go to the Japanese mart because they had there's a restaurant supply store. They must have those. Nope, the guy's like, what are you in here for? This is only for restaurants. I'm like, yeah, but money is money, right? Like I don't have to be a restaurant owner to shop here, do I? And he's like, we only sell large equipment. I'm like, all right, you have a point there, fine. They only sell large equipment. And I'm like, but I kind of like I don't like you, but I like everything that's in this store. I might be back. All right. So then we go to the Japanese mart. This is 5 blocks down, and because we've noticed that they have like casserole dishes. Those ended up they were like $25. We're not gonna spend $25 just to make onion soup once. But it was almost the right size. It would have worked, but again, it was $25. And then we're like, all right, fine, Costco. And at this point, I'm kind of pissed off because I already have a scheduled appointment to go to Costco eye doctor later today. I'm like, am I really going to go here twice? So I go there, we go there, and then
you and I have very similar feelings about doing errands. It's just like, oh my fucking God.
Do I have
can't
to do
believe
this twice?
that this is happening again.
So we go there, and then obviously they don't have them. So we pick up we're like, fine, we'll fucking get something else. So finally Costco has toilet paper for once. These fucking lunatics haven't ravaged Costco for all the toilet paper because there's a global pandemic. Like, for Christ's sake, they finally had toilet paper. So we pick up the massive toilet paper. We get to the line. It's taking a while. 2 people try to cut us in line, and we're like, we're in line. Sorry. And then we ended up waiting. I don't know. There was some complication up front, like a mile away from me at the front of the line, and we're like, what the hell, there's so many people why is everyone shopping right now in the middle of the day on a was it Tuesday? God damn it. And so we're like, all right, I'm coming back later today anyway. So I just threw the toilet paper down and we just gave up. And then we came home. So we literally
That's
wasted...
what they want you to do. They want you to give up on the toilet paper.
Yeah, we gave up because we stood in line for like 15 minutes just to buy toilet paper, and we didn't move a budge. We didn't move at all. So it's like, all right, I'm coming back anyways. I'll just buy it then. So we essentially just wasted an hour of our lives that we'll never get back, ever. And I was very angry. I I was in so I came back home. Nikki went to the vet to go pick up the cat, and I vacuumed and I cleaned the stove, and that's what I did today. God damn it! Now I'm doing this podcast. No, but I'm super happy to do this podcast, and of course last night I drank a nice whiskey because the Japanese love whiskey. So while I was streaming Yakuza, so I had a great time last night.
Excellent.
Yeah, but Ivan, tell me about how you're doing.
You know, our one of our cats just recently went through a paw thing as well.
Oh,
We took her to the vet and got all the stuff done, and there was nothing. She got some inflammation in her paw or something. By the time we actually got her to the vet, she had stopped limping. So, but we still took her anyway because it's the pandemic and everybody's just ultra paranoid.
Yeah. Oh my god. Fucking cats are the worst.
What have I done? You know what I did? I binged on...
$600 to be told they don't know what's wrong with your knee.
Sick. Just got word that the vet bill was $600 and they don't know what happened to the cat.
What?
Thank you so much, veterinarians. You guys are really great specialists. Know everything.
$600?
New York City prices, man. What can I tell
Fucking
you?
A. Yeah, I'm not excited to move to the city for that. But I truly did binge accidentally.
Oh, cool.
So on Saturday, my Buffalo Bills played the Indianapolis Colts
in the playoffs, right?
Playoffs. Our first home playoff game since 1995.
Holy shit.
I got super excited.
Nice.
It was a small gathering of my sister, myself, and both of our partners.
Mm-hmm.
And I decided, you know, this is going to be fun. It's a Bills game. Let's bring some White Claws. So
Hell yeah.
I brought a 12-pack of White Claws and some other food. We got together, started watching the game. I got very nervous, and if you've ever had a White Claw, they just go down.
They're just I gotta drink these. So.
By halftime, I think I'd had 8 White Claws.
Holy shit, dude.
Couple glasses of wine, and then I had some Miller Lite because they were selling it in the champagne bottle because it's the champagne of beers. I thought it was hilarious. So
and you're already a lightweight, Yvonne. I know you can drink a lot, and this is after you've lost 50 pounds, my friend. You must have been so drunk. Holy crap.
I was forced to stay overnight at my sister's house unexpectedly.
Awesome.
So obviously my cats rampaged. They tore through the house by the time we got back because hadn't eaten in a while, and they opened up we had these coconut snack things. They tore through those bags, but didn't like them that much because they just left them there on the floor.
Oh man!
Oh my god, it was
hilarious.
It was intense, and then it took me. I realized I'm 30 now because it took me 2 days to get over alcohol poisoning.
Oh shit, man! Oh my god!
The morning of the Bills game started at 1. We wanted to get to my sister's house at like 12:30. She lives an hour away. So we were going to leave early, and I was going to go for a run in the morning, get my long run done out of the way. And I was like, you know what? I don't feel like doing the long run. I'm just going to do a little shopping, and then I'll do the long run tomorrow on Sunday. And there was no fucking way that I got the long run done after the 10 White Claws that I consumed plus the other stuff.
Oh, I've tried running while hungover or working out while hungover. It's not fun.
We did it together. We
know.
worked out hungover.
Yeah.
You know what I?
It's a good way to get rid of a hangover, but yeah.
You know what I didn't have? I didn't have coconut water.
Because you thought those coconut stacks were gonna do the job, didn't you? Huh? No.
Yeah. So that took me 2 days to get over. I finally feel okay today. I went for a run. Other than that, I beat XCOM 2 again. So now I'm just like, fuck, what should I do? I don't know what to play now. But I am starting up a second Dungeons and Dragons campaign now.
What, 2 at the same time?
Yeah. So
do people do this? Is this a common occurrence, or do people
I don't know.
try to finish their campaigns first?
This is a second group of people.
Right, I can imagine. I should hope so.
So my experience on D&D campaigns is that you have a 50-50 shot of whether it will happen
At all,
so
in general.
yeah. So even if you play like a couple sessions, there's a 50-50 shot of it actually continuing. So I have my one that's been pretty long running at this point, so I'm happy with it. And then the other one is going to be a Humblewood campaign, so I get to play like a woodland creature or a bird person.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to I think I might choose like a bird wizard.
Oh,
which will be fun.
Cool.
Because in my other campaign, I'm a human gnome artificer, like Iron Man in the Iron Ages.
Yeah.
But in this one, I'd be a wizard that's also a bird.
I see.
Bird person wizard.
All right.
But other than that, those are the two things that I'm really excited about. The Bills won, so they're going to be playing this upcoming weekend, and my goal is to not get that drunk.
Yes.
Because I would actually like to be able to enjoy the next days afterwards, reveling in what I hope is a victory.
That would be crazy.
And I really can't advocate enough to not drink 10 White Claws in a 3-hour span.
Yes, do not do that. That's not safe.
No, not at all.
Not a safe
Luckily,
thing to
I
do.
had very nice people surrounding me who were able to Sherpa me through the aftermath.
Oh,
and luckily, it was a 1:00 game, so by midnight of that night, I felt like I had slept for a while. I had thrown up. It all came back together.
Oh, White Claw. Well, I'll tell you, sponsor the podcast, White Claw. We are still big fans of your drink, even if
Spike Seltzer is actually better.
Spike Seltzer's way better. Sponsor the podcast, though. We will start a rivalry for you, even though it already exists, I assume. Anyways, there's fucking White Claw. It's hard to find Spike Seltzer now. White Claw totally monopolized the market.
They took over the market. I don't understand how.
I don't know.
Spike Seltzer had existed for years, and the White Claw was like, "We're taking over.
We're making this a thing." We need a sponsorship, please. For the love of God, sponsor our podcast. That would be awesome. If we're sponsored by a Spike Seltzer or whatever. These alcoholic seltzers. They're so popular.
Would love to have that sponsor. You know why? Because you get a little bit of water, so you get hydrated, and you get alcohol both at the same time. That's why it's a perfect drink.
It cancels itself out. And you're drunk. It's great. And it's refreshing. What can I say?
Very easy to drink. Very easy.
Buy White Claw. Oh. Now only $9.99 a can. However much they are. I don't know. How much are they? A 12-pack.
It's like $1 a can. It's like $12.99 a 12-pack or something.
Yeah, I guess it is mostly water. Why? It's so cheap. They must be making billions. Oh my God.
Yeah, I don't know how. I don't know what their margins. I also don't know who what the production company is like.
It's probably.
I assume White Claw isn't an independent one.
Yeah.
It's a Mark Anthony Brands.
Oh. That's interesting.
Don't know who they are.
Huh. Interesting.
Based out of Dublin.
Oh. Now that's weird. I thought for sure this is an American scam.
You know what? It is definitely super popular in the US. On their Wikipedia page, they definitely. It was introduced 5 years ago, and it's now like the number one.
Oh, it's like
hard
Among Us.
seltzer of all time.
It's like Among Us. Comes out 2 years ago, no one bats an eye, and then now it's the most popular game ever.
Sleeper hits. That's what we're talking about.
It's all about marketing, man. It's all about marketing.
You know what was possibly a sleeper hit because nobody could see it in theaters?
I believe the movie you're speaking of is Tenet, Ivan. What we're here to talk about.
That is, in fact, the one. You know how I overindulged in White Claw? Christopher Nolan overindulged in time dilation. That's what he's done here.
Yeah, I think he had a couple of things to say about time travel, and
Just a
whether or
few.
not it's possible. So
In
that,
like
yeah.
4 of his movies.
Yeah. But specifically this one, he he took the idea of Interstellar, and really went off the rails with it. I think a lot.
Cranked it up a notch.
A simple concept in Interstellar that is sort of ushered through to the audience as if they knew what anything time dilation wise is. He just assumed everyone knew what time dilation was, barely explained it, and then went running. Just went for a fucking. He's like, what if we could just make an entire movie about this, and then just did it. So talk to me about Tenet, Ivan. Talk to me about it. You happen to really like this movie, right?
You know, I both enjoy this movie and don't enjoy this movie in a variety of ways. It's it is definitely it's a movie that I think really when you're in the I saw this in a few months ago in IMAX
Mm-hmm.
when theaters just opened back up in New York. It was super loud.
Cool.
I was like, I wish I had brought earplugs
Oh, really?
to
That
be
loud?
able to. It was just pounding.
So
The visuals were awesome.
is that a mistake on the theater, or is that, do you think Christopher Nolan just made a loud movie?
I hear that that was a common occurrence when people saw it in theater, that it was pretty loud. But I
Okay.
also feel like it was IMAX stadium seating, so it should be able to hold like 100 people, and there were I think 12 people total in the theater. So there's just not the amount of bodies to absorb
Oh,
the sound as it
that's
bounces
potentially.
around. So my theory is that it's a little bit of both. It's like I think they could have brought down the volume in the theater based on the amount of people that were in there,
Mm-hmm.
because there's just not as much noise absorption because there aren't as many people to absorb the noise and break up like how the sound bounces around. And the other thing is, I think it was just a pretty loud movie.
Yeah, I think especially that war scene was crazy. And of course we're probably gonna spoil Tenant for you. I probably shouldn't have said that. We're going to go full on spoiler mode just so we can talk about all the things we want to hit on with this movie. So if you haven't seen Tenet yet, please go watch it. There's a war
Even
scene
if
at
you
the
have
end.
seen it, watch it again
Yeah,
because
I think you might need to.
you're gonna pick some things up. I can tell you that the first time I saw it, I was so anxious about getting COVID and wearing my double mask that I was both anxious from watching the film and just myself coming into the movie theater. So there was a lot happening inside of me in addition to the thing, because the thing that I find the most is that this movie is frenetic. There are almost no pauses in the action, no time for you to absorb what's going on. It's just go, 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 go,
Yeah.
go. And that makes it a really, I think, overly intense movie to watch. It's like I saw it with Laura, and she was just like, I feel like I'm going to have a heart attack if I watch this movie again.
Yeah, it was definitely a very intense movie to watch. I did enjoy enjoyed a lot of the scenes. The action is obviously Christopher Nolan likes to do practical effects and over the top, set pieces, you would call it in a video game, but these large action sequences that are very complicated, especially in this movie, considering they go back and forth in time, and there's multiple plot lines throughout a single action scene. That I think yeah, I think Christopher Nolan
Which I think
went a
it
little
makes
off
it
the
a really
rocker there.
unique movie
Yeah.
in the way that you have to film people that look like they're walking backwards or running backwards, but you also film them going forwards and the different things. So it's
Exactly.
really interesting how many levels of filming the same scene you basically have to do.
Mm-hmm.
And because a lot of Christopher Nolan likes a single camera for dramatic action, then you really are shooting the same scene multiple times without getting multiple different coverages. It's really interesting filmmaking,
Yeah,
at least.
I thought it was a really interesting idea in terms of the story plot as well. You know, it's essentially trying to prevent a world war in a way, I guess. I'm not entirely sure, but I guess the idea is they didn't really know what they're trying to prevent until the end of the movie. The main character, of course, which I forget his name, the
He doesn't
actor,
have a name.
the
His name
actor's
is the
name.
protagonist.
I meant the actor's name. I forget.
Oh, that's I think John David Washington. That's Denzel Washington's son.
Is it?
Yeah,
That's really. How old is Denzel Washington? Like
he's up
90
there.
now? Jesus Christ. Yeah, because this guy, I mean,
I
a
think he's in
dashing
his
young
60s.
man. But I guess that's fair enough. He seemed like, I don't know how old this guy is, but he seemed a little, like 30 years old, right? I don't know. Makeup does whatever it does to
He's
people.
36. So
Oh, wow.
and,
So Denzel had him young.
30 when he was 30, because Denzel is 66. Hard to imagine that man is 66 years old.
Looks like he doesn't look a day over 20. Fucking Denzel.
So
That's really
I was hard pressed to remember where John David Washington, I had seen him before I pieced together that it was Denzel's son. But he was in Black Klansman, and he was in Ballers, which I saw like a few episodes from the first season. But Black
Cool.
Klansman I saw.
Now, so that's really cool. I do like when Christopher Nolan brings in new actors, because I guess if you look at movies like, I guess you have to sort of exclude the Dark Knight trilogy in a way, because obviously he's going to use the same actors for a trilogy in some of the movies, but he definitely uses, for instance, in Inception and the Dark Knight trilogy, you got Tom Hardy, you've got Michael Caine, and of course Michael Caine's just literally in all his fucking movies almost,
Yeah.
but and is in this movie as well. So it's I think it's really exciting when he brings in almost an entirely new cast except for Michael Caine. I don't recognize any of these people as being in a Christopher Nolan movie before. So I thought that was really interesting and really exciting. Because,
Yeah, he's not one to continuously work with the same crew, which isn't I think is it's how some directors work versus others who just keep making the same, like a different movie with the same 6 people. So I do like that he's always looking at different casting, and I did that I got to see Robert Pattinson in this film in in a role that I felt was a little different, was interesting. I thought in general this is like, so I think Christopher Nolan was in debates to be tapped for the director of Bond films, right?
Probably,
And
yeah.
basically I could imagine the meetings going like, so what if we had Bond time travel and he goes back and forth at the same time, and they're just like, that's not a Bond movie. So then he just creates a Bond movie, but titles it Tenet and makes it a little bit outside of that realm. So
Right.
it has the bravado and swagger of a Bond without having the lineage of the James Bond series.
For sure. I thought this, yeah, I mean, to go, yeah, exactly. Bond is a really fantastic topic to bring Nolan up, because they've in the era of what's his name, the most recent Bond, the blonde guy,
Daniel Craig.
Daniel Craig. Actually, I didn't see the most recent movie. I don't know if they changed him, but of
No,
the era,
he's going to be in No Time to Die as well, the most recent one that's going to come out.
okay. Well, in the era of Daniel Craig, they've sort of gone even further with a lot of the action sequences in those movies, I think, which I'm super happy to see. You know, I love action movies, so I could see Christopher Nolan taking the reins in that, but he would make the story way too complicated. It's a Bond movie. Come on, it doesn't have to be like that.
Yeah. So I think, Nolan, being British, is deeply steeped in the Bond mythology. He's referenced things like On Her Majesty's Secret Service as some of his favorite films of all time. And so it just makes a huge impact in kind of the look and feel of this film, which could just be. It could not have that pattern of the suave, sexy guy who's the leading man as the kind of James Bondish figure. But I think that he cast John David Washington really well in that role. Robert Pattinson works really well. It's interesting to kind of see the roles reversed, right? James Bond being the James Bond character being the guy with the American accent, the
Right.
Felix Leiter character, his helper being the guy with the British accent. So that's kind of a little role reversal. And he goes forward and makes a brilliant action movie.
Yeah.
Whether it makes any amount of sense as a sci-fi film is a different thing. But you have to look at these films with the sheer amount of practicality that exists. He literally crashed a Boeing 747.
Right.
They did all the like bungee jumping stunts and different things, and you see the just like progression of how much Christopher Nolan hates planes. From taking apart the plane and crashing it in The Dark Knight Rises to crashing it into the plane hangar, not even letting it take off. Christopher Nolan hates planes.
He's probably doesn't fly. He's probably never flown in his life. Tell me what is your favorite scene in this movie?
Oh man, it's a great question. My favorite scene in this movie, I think it's really hard to narrow it down. But I think my favorite scene in this movie might just be the opening sequence.
You like that one, yeah?
Or when they roll through the heist in Oslo backwards.
Oh yeah.
But the Tallinn car drive sequence is also super impressive. So there are I would say that those are my nominations for best scene. They have to be the opening sequence, the reversal through the Oslo plane crash, the bungee jumping scene where they're going up. That's really cool.
That was cool.
And then I think it would be the car driving scene. I don't like the final battle scene.
Yeah, that was a little
I think
weird.
it's too much like Inception in its design, and B, it's just too discombobulated to be able to be understood in a single watch through.
Yeah, it was a lot to take in. I did like that car chase scene. It reminded me a lot of the Matrix Reloaded car chase scene on the highway. In many ways, there was a lot of slow motion, awesome car flipping action, and guns firing everywhere. Except of course,
then you got sleight of hand and different things happening at the same time.
Had a lot of cool shots. Where they like attach the camera to the side of the car. I thought, or at least in my memory, there were a couple of shots like that. I always like those types of shots.
It's every director is like or orgasms about the fact of how he's going to cover a car chase or a car moving.
It's like, put
It's
me in
just
this
like,
car.
how can I
Yeah.
do it slightly differently than anybody else has done, or do it in a unique way? It's like, Nolan, you're putting a car chase that's going in reverse. Just like, be satisfied with that. That's the thing that's unique.
I
But
know.
no, he's doing different shots too.
Yeah, that was. I did like the opening sequence. I thought that was classic. That's pretty classic Nolan, or at least very reminiscent of The Dark Knight and Dark Knight Rises, opening the movie with a crazy action sequence. I don't even really remember how Batman Begins opens, but I assume it was with a huge action sequence as well. Maybe, possibly not. But
I don't remember how that
I don't
opens
remember
either.
at all. We
But
gotta rewatch it.
Inception opens with the action scene as well.
Mhm.
The mid
Oh yeah,
dream sequence.
that was a cool. Yeah, so that's you could think of it as a cheap way to get the audience riled up and excited about your movie, but it's fucking awesome every time. He's doing an awesome. You could say it's like, this is how Nolan opens all his movies. What the fuck? But also these scenes are really well done and they're really engaging, and it really does draw your attention to the rest of the movie because I was in from the beginning, man. It
Yeah,
was
and
so
it's
cool.
literally like he's setting the stage, right? So the orchestra is tuning their instruments,
Mhm.
and then it begins the action scene. It's literally like he's like, okay, everybody take a deep breath because this is the last time you're going to be able to breathe for the
The rest of the
next 2
movie.
hours or whatever.
Exactly.
And then
Yeah.
we get right into it. It's kind of the most meta Nolan opening sequence of all time.
It was I did really like that. I like the long sequences of um the main character just running, just sprinting as fast as he can around the stadium, up the stairs, and like he had to do these crazy slides under the I guess it was a security check or something. I don't know. Those were really cool sequences. I always love um I hate shaky cam in movies, so I totally appreciate Nolan's, sort of appreciation of the art of getting the shot right, or I think, in my opinion, right, when capturing action and doing these long sequences of action. So I
You
just think they're
totally
really
can
cool.
see how disciplined and how exacting he is on himself to get the shot that he has in his head.
Yes.
I think after having been in the behind the scenes world of
Movie
set
making. Yeah.
design, set decoration, art direction, and production design, working in that world, watching this movie for a second time really helped me to appreciate that side of it. So it's not just the exact shots that I'm watching, but also how well Nolan and his production designer worked together in order to really make this world talk to what they want it to do.
Right.
I don't know if you rewatched it or on the first watch through.
I've only watched this movie once, so maybe we can have a second conversation when I watch it again. I had to buy it on Amazon, so I guess I own it now. So I can watch it again
Go
whenever I want.
When you go back and watch it, look for the colors red and blue,
Mm-hmm.
and notice how much gold plays throughout the film. It's like in the scene where he meets Michael Caine in the restaurant, the columns are filled with gold.
Mm-hmm.
There's a gold lion on or gold tiger on Kenneth Branagh's desk. Gold is, and like that goldish light plays throughout the film, while at the same time, in almost every single scene, there's a red and a blue that come through parts of the lighting or the set decoration in order to make it a really engaging part of the film. Because, as we know, the red and the blue is it can be seen in multiple ways to correspond to the time dilation. So going
Right.
backwards and forwards, like a red shift and a blue shift,
I see.
or some of the other on the whiteboard when he's getting the things explained to him on the back on the whiteboard in that lab. You can see kind of the explanation of going forwards and backwards in time with entropy and different things.
Right.
So it
So
plays
okay.
throughout the whole thing, and it does it in a way that's a little bit more subtle than when Aronofsky did it in Black Swan,
Hmm.
which drove me fucking bananas. But in this way, it's a lot more subtle.
Right. So talk to me a little bit about how Christopher Nolan has tackled the idea of time travel in this movie. How it's much more complex than I would say in Interstellar. I think in Interstellar, I think it was much more realistic, or at least to in terms of the physics of it, gravity affects how time exists in the world and in the universe. But in this movie, there's just a device that sends you back in time, right? So
R-
just assuming
yes.
that's a real thing, do you think this movie makes logical sense in what it's done in the plot, at least, and how
So
things are
it
dealt
doesn't.
with?
It's playing with one of the. It's the red and the blue are playing with a theory whose name I'm trying to look up. But it's basically. Oh right, it's Maxwell's daemon. So James Maxwell was a Scottish
Yep.
physicist, and he was playing around with the ideas of entropy, etc. So that that is where the red and the blue come from. But the thing is that he was refuting the second law of thermodynamics, which is where entropy is exemplified from. And I'm not going to say I am at all
Well, the
able
second
to.
law of thermodynamics essentially says, and of course, with there's it's a lot more complicated than what I'm about to say, but you can essentially say that the entropy of the universe is always increasing. So there's no way to depending on how you define your system, you can have a system where entropy decreases, but if you look at the universe as a whole, the entropy of the universe is always going to be increasing. That's what I said, right? To begin with.
Mhm.
It's always
Yeah, entropy is always
yeah,
increasing.
it's always heading towards a state of disorder. Um Going back to become an ordered structure is not the way that energy dissipates throughout the universe, given that you're looking at the universe as a whole. Um so Right, and there's no way to violate the second law of thermodynamics. People have tried, or scientists have tried to disprove it for centuries. By centuries, I mean decades, um, and it's proven to be true in every situation. So
So
yeah.
what Maxwell's experiment was is that there's a chamber, two adjacent chambers, A and B,
Hmm.
and there's a little devil that has a microscopic view, and he's able to pass the faster moving molecules through a hatch that separates the two chambers, and closes it behind.
Hmm.
So that way, fast moving molecules move from chamber A to chamber B, resulting in an increase in temperature. And
Which
the
yeah.
higher the average speed of the molecules, the greater the heat. Chamber B would therefore become warmer than chamber A, colder, with a consequent inversion of entropy. That and so the colors red and blue are there to kind of identify the red getting warmer and the blue getting colder. The other way to think of it is like blue shift and red shift. So it's kind of like the Doppler
Hmm.
effect. When you look at cosmologically, when things increase in wavelength, they become more red, so they're getting further away. And when they are coming closer, they shorten in wavelength and become blue.
Right.
So when things are getting further away, they become red. Closer, they become blue. This also works in terms of gravitational wells. As things are going into it, it will become more blue, and coming out of it becomes more red due to the change of energy, basically.
Yeah, and that's
So,
how we know the universe is expanding, is because all light sources that we observe are red shifted. So all the light is traveling away from us. Even I mean the light is traveling to us, but the light has been red shifted, so it is more red than, or it's a longer wavelength than its original source.
This is
Yeah.
based on light and light wavelength. So you can, like the Roy G. Biv spectrum, why there are different colors is because you're seeing the different level of wavelength. So red is the lowest energy wavelength that we can see, and blue being the higher energy wavelength that we can see. So that's why you have red shift and blue shift. So, and throughout this movie, Nolan and the production designer, Nathan Crowley, who he's worked with several times, they're putting into every scene some red and some blue.
That's
which
meta,
allows
dude. What the fuck?
it.
I didn't know that.
Sorry?
I didn't know that. That's cool.
So I would really go back and look through it and see these red and blue, and especially when the biggest part is when they get into the two chambers where it's revealed how when the wife gets shot, right? And they go in and then out, and it's the beginning of basically the second half of the movie. The first half of the movie being like the first season where we're just establishing the rules of the world, and the second half of the movie being like we're getting into the deeper and deeper. It's basically first part 1 and part 2. If this was a Hunger Games movie, this would be at least 2 movies. But Christopher Nolan puts them together because he's like, this is all I want to make. And so you see it most defined in that space with the red light in one room and the blue light in the other room.
And I have a question about the wife. Now, Ivan, is it possible to be so tall that you become less attractive?
One of our unanswerable questions. I think it depends. I mean, I'm slightly taller than you, Julien.
Yes, you're much taller than I am. Let's not beat around the bush.
I'm not gonna say that I haven't thought about what it would be like to be with a taller woman.
Because that woman's like 7 foot tall. She's so tall.
But Kenneth Branagh is also really short, I think.
I guess that's fair enough. That's probably true. But I mean, surely he's taller than I am.
Oh, he's 5'10". He's not a short man.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why I'm saying she's fucking massive.
She's got to be super tall. That's like, wow.
Anyways,
that's incredible. I thought she was exceedingly thin.
Yes,
I thought that was dangerous.
Oh man!
If we're gonna criticize women,
it wasn't. Oh god! Oh no! End the podcast! End the podcast!
No, that's just a preference of attractiveness that has nothing to do about the general thing. I just thought she was really skinny. It was really shocking.
She was very slender.
Yeah. So I thought that the sci-fi part was interesting. In terms of that part of it, those two characters of Kenneth Branagh and the wife are like the least interesting characters in this entire movie. Not that you have many characters in this movie. There are like 4 speaking roles or whatever. But I couldn't care less about either of them. Kenneth Branagh's Russian accent is not great. I'd give it a passing grade at a C. Oof. But there are a lot of really, really talented Russian actors that would have been much better in that role.
So, yeah, I didn't even look into that. Of course, you're much more keen your ear to a Russian accent. I mean, I didn't think it was that good either. But why do you think that? Do you think it's just a logistical thing to get a Russian actor, or they're Russian actor? I don't know anything about Russian actors, so are there Russian actors in Hollywood right now? I think it has more to do with Kenneth
Branagh being a bigger name, and you want to get a lot of really big names into the roles. And nobody in America has ever cared about having an accurate accent in any role.
That's a good point. That's a fairly good point. You've got me beat there.
see every Asian role that's
Yeah.
not cast by an Asian casting director, where it's like we're looking for a very specific Asian accent from this village in Vietnam, and they just can do whatever they want because the
Yeah,
people across
just get the Chinese guy.
the casting people don't know what they're talking about. It's the same way with Eastern European accents. It's just like, if I get it in the general vicinity, you know he's from Russia, so that's fine.
If we say he's from Russia, then you know he's from Russia. That's it. Yeah, I
Perfect.
I agree.
It also had to be another fucking Russian bad guy. We can't get away from it.
I knew you would get so mad at that. I'm surprised you like this movie this much. That's all I'll say. But yeah, no, I agree. I thought that those two characters being so central to the basically I would say the second 2/3 of the movie was a little annoying. I didn't, obviously we want to see, the main protagonist do cool things and solve this crime or whatever, and like be a cool badass guy. But I didn't like those two characters. I agree with you. As much, anyways.
But do you know what's very interesting about this movie? Where the name of the film comes from?
No.
Tenet
I don't know where
comes from the Seder Square. The Seder Square is a square that has relation to early Christianity and early magic writings, but it has the words SATOR, AREPO, TENET, OPERA, and ROTAS, otherwise known as Seder, which is the name of Kenneth Branagh's character, Arepo, which is the name of the forger who does the Goya paintings, Tenet, which is the name of the organization, Opera, like the Kiev Opera, the opening of the film, and Rotas, which is the security company that houses the Goya painting and where the secondary space turnstile is, or time turnstile is.
Now, why even go that far?
Because
Is
it's
it
Nolan.
relevant?
Because he's like, I'm gonna do a time movie. What is something that goes backwards and forwards? A palindrome, and that's just him. That's just like
That's ridiculous, dude.
He's making it scientific by putting the Seder Square in there, even though Seder is not at all a Russian name. It's not even close.
Ridiculous. Well, this movie's. I do need to watch it again. I mean, a lot of Nolan movies you gotta watch again, for sure. This one is like a 2, maybe 3 minimum that you have to watch. Minimum times that you have to watch this movie in order to get anything sort of, relevant and meaningful from it, I think.
By the second time you watch it, it becomes less anxiety driving. I can tell you that much. Because this time I was watching it at home on the comfort of my new couch, and it was fine. I wasn't like, my heart wasn't jumping out of my body.
Had a great time. Oh, man. Well, it's a lot. I definitely enjoyed my time watching it. I think the music was also really fantastic. I really liked the score in the movie. It reminded me a lot of Inception. You got like those deep whomp type sounds coming from it, but it sounded, I guess, I don't know if they played at all with how, they recorded something and then they reversed some of it. I don't know how the music was composed at all, but I know it sounded really cool to me when I was watching it. There was a lot of like string plucking, so I guess from a guitar, maybe not necessarily from a guitar.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
I do
thought it was
think
really
that
cool.
one of the advantages that that Nolan films have is that they are so well put together, and part of that is the score and the music being so keen in their production. Like think about the Edith Piaf resurgence after Inception, right?
Right.
No, like a lot of people in America didn't really know who Piaf was.
Right.
Not that
Exactly.
well. And then Inception comes in and her music is everywhere in every commercial all the time. I think a lot more than it was before, though.
My dad used to play her a lot when I was growing up, so it was actually kind of nostalgic when I was watching. Maybe that's why I like that movie so much. But
My
that,
dad did
you know,
too.
yeah, well, maybe it's an old scientist thing. You just listen to this weird French lady. She's probably both of their mistresses. God damn it. Yeah. God damn it.
So, I would totally agree that Nolan really makes sure that the score meshes well with what the movie is trying to put through.
Right, exactly. For sure. I was thinking about that. I wonder how. I mean, surely they're integral when like both things are being written at the same time. I would say, right? The score and the movie and the scenes are being filmed and written at the same time. I would surely they have to be because they're so well matched. I would say.
I'm not sure how like music gets written that way. I think sometimes
Some of them have
sometimes
to be, right?
they'll have the basic cut and then they'll put together something for the music for that cut.
Right. Oh,
But
so
other
they'll
times I
film
think
it
they'll
and
have
then
like
show it to you.
Tarantino writes his films with like songs in mind for
Right.
scenes and things. So
Well, Tarantino cheats because he just steals everyone's music. Doesn't write his own. I mean, some of his movies have original score. Obviously, like Django Unchained has an original score. Some of it. But yeah, he always takes. I mean, but that's also really cool. And that's a Tarantino style film to have just really well tailored songs in for scenes in his movies. But yeah, I like this movie. I definitely want to see it again. Even just talking to you about it, it certainly blew my mind. Is there anything else you want to cover on it? A lot of the scenes with the reversal of time were visually really cool. I thought that was interesting. I didn't really quite understand why he needed the oxygen tank. I still don't understand it, but I guess that's a suspension of belief or disbelief that you have to just go with. Um, I am still confused as to how you're sent back in time and then but like the idea is the two timelines are going at the same time and you're just meeting each other. What point is it just assumed that you make it back to this device that sends you back forward in time and that's how you're back to a normal timeline? Or
yes,
okay,
it has to be that way, or
that's
else
just
you'd be
done
breathing
off stream, right?
oxygen the whole time.
Okay, so that's
Reverse
just
oxygen,
off stream. That's just done off.
which is 2O.
God damn it. That's just done off camera, I guess.
Yeah, I think they showed that kind of like they sped through it a little
Yeah,
bit.
they showed it the first time.
On your second or third watch through, you'll find it out.
Yeah, this reminded me a lot of The Prestige as well because of it's this all-encompassing device that's being moved throughout the world, and does this magical thing that sends people back in time. Like it was originally in that what's it called, the art base where they crashed the plane into, and then they moved it to wherever the fuck it was, like on the shore, or at that what's it called, with all the crates and the shipping containers. They moved it there, right? So that reminded me of The Prestige, where you what's his name, Hugh Jackman's character gets the device that clones him from from Nikola Tesla, and then he moves it to his show place and like the basement of his theater. So I think there's a lot of things that Christopher Nolan draws from in all his prior work, and I think this movie combines a lot of the great qualities from a lot of his other movies. So I think it is a great culmination of his work in a way. But I also think he went a little crazy with the story. So that's my uh, first impression of the movie, because of course I've only seen it once. But I did enjoy it a lot. It was a fun ride, and I highly suggest you guys go watch it again to catch up on all these reds and blues. It's like fucking
Yeah.
what's it called? Uh, the Rooster Teeth thing, red versus blue.
Oh yeah. There's also green comes into outfits. The arms dealer in Mumbai, she wears green.
Mm-hmm.
And then on the speed catamaran boats, the wife whose name I can't for the life of me remember, but no, you're not supposed to remember anybody's name basically.
Oh, really?
Mrs. Sater, um, she's wearing a green wetsuit. I've not fully. I was trying to look it up and see if somebody else had talked about what the green would mean, but I maybe it just happens to be a thing. But I think those moments are too significant because in Mumbai, she tells him what's happening, basically, and who Sater is, and she's wearing green. And in on the F-90 boats or whatever, she basically kills what's his name, and she's wearing a green wetsuit. So I don't know fully what the green means, but that's another thing to keep in mind. Outside of
Sorry.
outside of Tenet, uh, did we want to hit any of his other films? I mean, we brought in The Prestige a little bit. We've talked
Yeah.
about The Dark Knight ad infinitum about its
Oh God,
greatness.
it is. I think that's his greatest movie. I think it's the greatest movie ever made, honestly. But uh, it's such.
It's up there.
And of course, we've hit all his big hits: Inception, The Dark Knight, Interstellar. I talked about The Prestige a lot because I saw that more recently. I think it is one of the low points in his career. It's still a great movie, but in terms of the rest of his pantheon of fantastic movies out there, I think it is certainly one of the lower points. But I wanted to say one more thing. Oh, I think the pace of the plot in this movie sort of moves at the same rate as The Prestige. The Prestige opens up, I would say, very similarly in a way in terms of the pace of the plot. And I when I watched it again, I had to go into forums to figure out what the hell was happening in the movie, because I didn't quite understand why those two characters, the two main characters played by Christian Bale and Hugh Jackman, are rivals at all. It didn't. I thought the movie didn't do a good job explaining why they were rivals at all. It just
Right.
You just had to assume that they were, and then that's the whole plot of the movie. They're just one-upping each other the whole time. It's like, oh, that's kind of cool, I guess. But in this movie, I don't think. I think the movie just sort of moves so fast in the beginning, and then you're just like, wait, why is he in the middle of the ocean? What's going on here? And you just have to sort of go with it until the movie explains a little bit more. But I think this movie does a better. Christopher Nolan likes to have that crazy twist at the end or at some point in his movies, not necessarily the end, and likes to have multiple plot lines interweaving. And I think this movie is a literal meta uh, idea of that, right? It's about interweaving timelines and plot lines. Um, so that's where my idea of him going too far is sort of in this movie. I think he did go a little too far.
I think so too. I think he really overindulged, and I don't know how you could make it easier or more simplified. But I'm sure that you could, and you needed a little bit more editing, I think, to slow the pace in places to make sure that you could breathe a little bit easier during
Right.
this film.
Yeah, I think so. Um, are there any other movies you wanted to talk about, just briefly,
I mean,
or?
I think he's been hitting a real high recently.
Mhm.
I really loved Dunkirk. Um, I think Tenet is the end maybe of this post Dark Knight Rises trilogy or the Batman trilogy. So it's like Interstellar, Dunkirk, Tenet.
Mhm.
I think Interstellar was good, Dunkirk was amazing, and then Tenet is probably the worst of those three. Um,
But these
there
are
was a
still
lot to
great
like
movies.
about Tenet. I just think it needed a little bit more editing to bring it down to a
Bring them
more
down to our
recognizable and
level.
understandable movie. I'm sorry I missed that.
Bring them down to our level.
Yeah.
God damn. Fucking
But
Dark Knight.
the action is so amazing, and the amount of practical effects that he's willing to go through and do are
Crash
just
an entire plane
tremendous.
into a building.
Yeah,
It's
so
fine. You can do it.
it's hard to be super critical of a movie that's willing to spend that much money and make things look that good.
Did he buy
Um,
an entire plane and
I
just to
don't
destroy it?
really understand. I just know it was a Boeing 747.
Those are massive fucking planes, and that's
Yeah.
it's, and Christopher Nolan knows a lot about planes, clearly
And
from The
destroying
Dark Knight
them.
Rises, and his intricate detail from that's clearly explained in Inception. The first class cabin is above the pilot, or where whatever they explain, like it's completely cut off from the rest of the crew, and they have a separate crew just to pull off the plan, man. It's the ultimate heist.
We started to run the numbers, and it became apparent that it would be actually more efficient to buy a real plane of the real size and perform this sequence for real in camera rather than build the miniatures or go the CG route.
Oh my god.
So that's how he justified it. He bought it because it was better for the numbers. Fair enough.
God damn it. Christopher Nolan. Yeah, he's a crazy guy, but he's rich enough to do all these awesome things on camera, and we get cool movies every 3 or 4 years from him. So hopefully, um, with this pandemic, he's not slowed down. You know what I mean? I think he's just on a he's riding a high from, he became super popular from the Dark Knight trilogy, and of course he made great movies before then and in between those three movies, but man, uh he's really one of the most famous directors now, and I think he might be one of the best of our time. I agree. I love his movies.
I
There's
think
something
I
special
think
about
he's
them.
up there in the pantheon.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's on the Mount Rushmore of like
No Steven
modern
Spielberg here.
filmmakers.
Yeah.
Would you put him up there?
He's certainly one of my favorites. I love all these movies. I
Top
think they're
top 4?
I couldn't name three other directors besides Steven Spielberg, dude. I don't know. I don't.
All right, all right.
Not something
So
I
he's in
really pay attention
Julian's. He's in Julian's Mount Rushmore. We'll
I
figure
mean, the
out what
fact that
mine
I
is.
know his name, I think that's pretty important, right?
Yeah,
He makes every single part of his movie an intricate thing, so it's just something you gotta look. You end up like, oh, I gotta look this up now. I'm so into the story, so you just end up learning a lot about Christopher Nolan, and then all the actors and how it was written and all these things, how it was filmed, all these things. I think the fact that he's open about, he's not secretive. There's a lot of behind the scenes footage in a lot of these movies. I like when people document that part of the movie, how it was made, um, so that sort of stuff is, out there. It gives it brings a different light to the movie making industry, and how incredibly dedicated and hard these people work. Just all the people behind the camera, of course, to make these movies. You know, of course, you're one of them, Yvonne. One day you'll be working on a Nolan film. Trust me.
That would be unbelievable. I would shit my pants.
Yeah, so I mean, it's just like there's a lot that's done behind the camera. It's not just the Hollywood actors in front, you know, who are making these movies.
Yeah.
So it's exciting.
Yeah, I think that Nolan exemplifies how you have to be meticulous about how everything comes together and hiring the right people to make sure that his vision is executed in a way that is of the highest level. And I think that's what makes him a special filmmaker.
Right. And of course I love action movies, but I hate how action movies have been made in the past decade. I would say it's all gone CG, and I really don't like CG at all. I know it's becoming increasingly more realistic with all these Marvel Avengers movies, but even that kind of looks like shit to me. I'm not gonna lie. I'm super excited to see Iron Man and Hulk fight, but I know it's fake. So, but with this movie, and of course a lot of the other Nolan movies, there's very little CG involved, if at all, and it's all, he loves to do practical effects, and I think
it's really
that really
tactile
adds...
and engaging,
Yeah.
and it helps you to feel the momentum of
Yes.
the piece. And I think it's part of why the original Lord of the Rings trilogy versus the Hobbit trilogy, part of why the original Lord of the Rings trilogy works better is because it's all the sets are basically real. It's a lot more
Right.
tactile. The actors felt it, you felt it as the audience, in the same way that Nolan brings that. When you watch this or John Wick, all of the action feels a lot more tactile than, let's say, the end of Black Panther with that fight scene,
Mhm.
which is god awful.
Right, so he's making movies that will live on, I would say, or at least I don't know how these will look in 10 years, right? But I would definitely put my money on these movies looking 10 times better than the Marvel Avengers looking, you know, even Iron Man right now, the first Iron Man, right? That was made, I don't know, in 2002 or something. That movie doesn't look so good anymore, does it? So,
Right.
because it was all CG.
Inception,
and Star
10-year
Wars Episode
anniversary.
2, like that looks like a shitty movie right now. I mean, it was also a shitty movie, but these movies are going to live on for a long time, and I think Christopher Nolan, maybe he's obsessed with himself. Who knows? I don't know this guy. I just know the movies he makes, right? Maybe he's obsessed with his own legacy, and maybe that's why he's trying to do this, but even if that's the case, it's pretty cool that these movies were made at all in the way that they were made, and I'm excited to see them when I'm old.
Maybe you've convinced me. He's on my Mount Rushmore of current filmmakers.
I just,
I'm putting him
in
up
terms
there.
of the
Let's
craft,
chisel him
it's
in,
not...
boys. Let's chisel him in.
Just in terms of the craft of how things are, these movies are made, I think he should be up there. But and of course the cool stories, I think they're cool. You can poke at them all you want. You can poke all the holes you want at them, but in the end, these movies are really, as a whole package, these are really fantastic movies. So,
And I think for the most part, I think Tenet less so, because it's too fast to really be understood.
he wanted to
And
say
so,
too many things in a 2-hour time span, or however long it was.
the magic trick, right, of a movie is, if you believe it while you're watching it, then the trick works. It doesn't matter if you have to think about it later and
Right.
you can poke holes in it. It's like, while you're watching it, does it draw you in? And I think a lot of his movies do that. I think Tenet, because of its pacing, is a lot worse at overcoming that barrier to belief than a lot of his other stories or movies. But you know what, Julian?
Yes.
This is not the end of Nolan's career, but it is the end of our podcast.
It really is. It definitely is, Yvonne, unfortunately. But we'll be back with more movie reviews, because that's what we get excited about. I think we're trying to be a topical podcast, but we love talking about movies, so we're probably gonna sprinkle more movie reviews in the future, particularly with our top 10 child actor films coming up. Not necessarily next week, but at least the week after. We've got 2 weeks left, buddy. We got to do it.
Yeah.
We're trying to do a podcast.
I'm putting my
week.
list together.
Yeah, I've got a good one. I've got a couple good. I love child actor movies. They're great. They're fantastic.
You love high school movies. You love child
yeah.
actor movies.
I know. What else? I'm just a kid at heart, and in real life. So, Yvonne, thank you so much for coming up with this topic. I always love talking about Christopher Nolan movies with you. We had a great time talking. Tell us in the comment section below what you thought of our conversation and if you got anything to say. And of course, we're going to try to start streaming this podcast on twitch.tv/jujubesgood, my Twitch channel. Of course, it might as well be our Twitch channel at this point. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Bringing in all the viewers here. Yeah, so if you want to be part of the conversation live, go ahead and give me a follow. Give us a follow, and we'll answer your questions live on the podcast. So, Yvonne, we end our podcast every single week in a song in a segment called Hungover Radios, where you can email us or contact us in various social media ways. But we've got an email, gaminghungover@gmail.com. Please send in your music to be played at the end of the podcast. If no one does, then I get to pick a video game song. And guess what I'm picking, Yvonne? What is it? What is it, Yvonne?
Octopath Traveler.
Oh my god, I think we've played that, obviously, when I was playing
Yakuza 0.
Yakuza 0, English intro soundtrack with download links. That's the name of the video, but it's actually just the song from the intro. I like this song.
Nice.
So I hope you guys enjoy it. Hope you guys enjoyed the conversation. We'll be back next week with another podcast. Goodbye.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.